In today's video, you are going to see some amazing things because we had a field trip last night.
Oh, what a field trip that was!
It was the best ever. So, you enjoy this field trip with us.
We want to introduce you to the Heartiness Approach Farm Phantom.
Hello.
This is Austin.
I'm the Phantom.
And his wife, Sierra. And
what's your name?
Alyssa. And Joseph. And the one you can't see but can hear is Aaron. And you will be seeing them off and on because they're part of our family now. And part of our farm. Okay.
Hi, this is Tim. He's the guy we get all of our pig stuff from.
And our meat.
Our meat. We've met him at the farmer's market. Great product. We're really excited about it. Plus, he's got some piglets, and we are going to be buying a couple of them. All right. Well, that's a good thing.
Hello. Oh, really?
Like
What's their names?
That one's Newly.
Newly.
Gunsmoke Fame. And this is Hannah. We've got another dog named Delilah, so we were going to buy
look at the size of your head.
Oh, they're sweet.
It's okay, baby. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're not barking a lot.
No, but they do. If I bring the other dogs out at night, they start barking, and then I'll hear them during the night. They're barking so they can dig in it and roll in it. That's Abby. She's the mama.
Hi, Abby.
And that's Barbie down there, A and B, the first two. Now, that out there is where the babies are going to go. And that's, I took and plowed it and planted it in oats, fescue, and clover. So there's protein, and you'll see that the house sits in the middle of a quad. So there's a section up here, a section down there, a section over there, and a section there.
I like it.
So we leave them for a while in one, and then when it gets eaten down, we move them to another one.
Yep, that's what we plan on doing.
Sometimes they'll hit that electric fence, and instead of going backwards, they go straight on through it. So
they're pigs.
Yep. And
so are these also from the same mama?
No.
Okay.
I bought these. When I first started, I started buying from a breeder down in Noel, Missouri. That's right down in the southwest corner.
Okay.
And he raised red wattles, and so I bought them from him. His name's Phil. And that's where I got my first ones. And then I found that there was another breeder between me and him, so I bought some from him. And these two sows are out of Edmonds. Frame maybe November.
And so how big do you grow them before you butcher them?
About 300 pounds.
Really?
And the reason for that is they're a leaner pig, so you can get a little more meat that way.
And how old are they then when you do that?
From the time I breed the sow till the time I harvest the pigs, about a year.
Okay.
So it takes 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days for them to, the gestation period. Yeah, so you're really talking 4 months. And then it takes 8 months to get them from this size up to about 300 pounds.
And then, so when we get these, it'll be about 8 months?
About 8 months later, or depending upon how they grow. It depends on what you feed them. Now, I've got some that are almost 300 pounds right down there.
And you sell by the pound if somebody wants hanging weight. And then you sell piglets.
Okay.
And in your paper it's $2.25 a pound for hanging weight.
Yeah.
So the hanging weight on a 300 pound is
about 200.
200.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to load from, and then I've got one gate in each one of the 4 paddocks. So there's a gate here for that one. This gate is for this single. I'll put a sponsor. All right, so that's that standing right
this
there.
One,
about a 300 pounder.
This one's 300. Yeah. Okay.
Now the way you can tell is you measure around the whole pig right behind the front legs. And then you multiply that to itself. Then you multiply the length in inches from behind the ear to where the tail starts. And divide it by 400, and that should be about how much they weigh.
And they just let you do that?
When they're eating.
Okay. I thought it was a good question.
Yeah.
And this one is staring me down.
Yeah, this one's about 300, and I think that one's about 300. It's kind of hard to tell. They're all close to the same size.
And do they go into their houses at night?
And during the day, when it's hot, they'll get in there because it's shady.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we try to keep mud out here for them.
And it's just made, you've got them made with pallets.
Yeah, I mean, just put 6 of them together. Put some 2x4s around the top and around the bottom. And put a little shed on it. And then during the winter, I cover them around the outside. That one's kind of a summer. So the wind can blow through, but they still have shade.
And how do they do during the winter?
So far they've done good. It was really cold. I felt like maybe they backed off a little bit on their growth, a little bit, but not much.
But as far as females versus males, as far as growing size?
They've grown the same.
Okay, so it really doesn't matter.
To mine have not had any difference. I was trying to think if temperament was any different, but it's really not. They're just hungry.
Okay.
So they're just squealing when you walk out with
something to eat.
Yeah.
So we had such a delightful evening with our friends and with Tim and Susie, and they were so hospitable to us. They even ended the night with homemade ice cream. And then the next morning, this morning when we woke up, we got to do homestead farm chores for the first time. Good morning.
Hey, it's time for morning chores for the first time in a long time. We got animals we gotta go take care of. We got them a bunch of stuff here. Today we are going to find a place to source the chicken layer feed. We've looked at a couple places and we think we know what we're doing, but we got to go there today and pick it up. But in the meantime, we got some good stuff that we put together. We put together popcorn. We ground some of our wheat for them into cracked wheat. We have zucchini, celery, the compost that we have in the kitchen, and in the very bottom I have some older quinoa. Great. That's a smorgasbord. So here we go. Listen to their sounds. Hey chick chicks. Hey chick chicks. Hey chick chicks. You're curious if I have anything here? Several people were saying this morning how they've gotten flocks that haven't had enough or been as good or whatever, and they've brought them all back to normalcy. Still losing. Look at that. They're all excited. Let's go see if there's any eggs. Okay, girls, we're going to get you healthy and strong, and you're going to work for us and give us eggs. So I just pulled out some of our old stuff, and I'm going to get this together and for their dust bath, so that they have a dust bath as they sit in the grass. Egg number 1 from these girls. You got it? They're actually knowing how to do it. We thought we heard one cackling in here, and she truly was. Oh, yay! Oh my goodness! Well, a funny thing happened today. Little bit bigger, very, very tiny. Look at these cool boxes that Jim made after Justin Rhodes' boxes. They're all different colors, all different kinds. Some of them are naked necks. We think they're called Transylvania naked necks. We got them at an auction. What can I say? Sometimes you just lift up the paddle. But we wanted baby chicks so that in October we can start having eggs when our other chicks stop laying. So here we go. So if you remember when we did the video showing the scale, you can see it right now. One of the things that we realized is that a scale doesn't work very well because of 4 different things that we're going to tell you about that are being weighed. Number 1 is... The first thing that you're weighing, well, when you say, I weigh too much, well, what part of you weighs too much? That's the important thing, because there are 4 parts of you, all of which weigh. 3 of them are fantastic. You got to have them. The 4th one, different story. The first one is your bones. You got to have big, strong bones, and they weigh a lot. And what else do they do for you?
Well, they make it so that you have more cells to be able to store energy in. And you want the density, so you want to increase your bone size. And you, as a fitness trainer, know that of all things.
Plus, too, research has shown that people with larger bone structures, stronger, denser bones, live longer.
Yep. Number 2, muscles. The same thing goes with muscles. You want to build your muscles because, guess what? Those people who have bigger muscles live longer.
And they also metabolize better. It's a healthier life.
It gives them places for the cells to put energy into. And when
instead of storing it as fat.
There you go. And the third one is called subcutaneous fat.
It's good fat, actually.
This is the one that gives women their
little bit of insulation for your body to keep you warm, but you need a certain amount of fat in your body to maintain normal healthiness. It's going to draw on the fat. It's going to do a lot for you. So it's subcutaneous, meaning it's just right under your skin, and it's all over under your skin. A little bit. It's not thick. It's not like inches thick.
And I work with the geriatric population, and I can tell you that when a little old man or a little old woman loses all of their body fat, they are on their way to dying. You need your body fat. You need to be able to have that. It's important in so many different ways. Okay, you want to tell them about the last one?
The last one, this is the bad guy of the bunch. It's called visceral fat. It's the stuff right around here. And when you start storing it, that's where it starts storing.
Absolutely. This is the fat that makes disease. This is the fat that kills you. And this is also the fat that is the first to leave when you start exercising and eating correctly. So that's encouraging.
Yep.
All right, so because of those 4 things, remember, we don't always think we understand what the scale's telling us. So our number 1 thing that we need to do is to get rid of visceral fat. Visceral fat causes disease, starts insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, and causes so many different diseases. Our goal is to get rid of that fat. That's what we're trying to do by eating right and by exercising.
Not weight control, get rid of visceral fat.
Correct. So Heartiness Approach has some standards that they have set. That we have set.
That's us.
That we have set. We eat 3 meals a day plus 2 snacks. And our meals consist of... Oh, okay. So the very first meal is your breakfast. Your breakfast is not an option. So many people do not eat breakfast. Breakfast is not an option. Breakfast. We're breaking our fast of what we have been sleeping all night and we haven't been eating, we haven't been feeding our body. It's extremely important that we shut down the hunger that is in our body by feeding it a breakfast. What kind of breakfast?
First, before I tell you what kind of breakfast, I'm going to tell you the typical breakfast that most people eat. It's going to involve, for a lot of folks, a cup of coffee, perhaps with sugar in it, bit of a stimulant going on there. It's going to have some type of a pastry, most likely, potentially a bowl of cereal that is mostly carbohydrate with sugar added to it. If they're really trying to eat healthy, they're going to have a fruit of some kind or a couple of fruits and maybe some fruit juice. Carbohydrate. And toast. So I'm not hearing any proteins in there. I'm not hearing any vegetables. So a bit of a limitation. So the kind of breakfast that we eat as part of Heartiness Approach is going to involve a protein, typically eggs, There can be some kind of a meat like a bacon, sausage,
Nitrate free.
Nitrate free, good kind of meals that way. But we're also going to have some vegetables with it. Green leafy is, we have salads with our breakfast, whenever we can. But other kinds of vegetables as well. You can do some fruits, but it's mixed in with everything else that's going on. We do also include some, we drink raw milk, but whole milk, not skimmed down, but milk that has all of the enzymes in it that it needs to be healthy and able to help you digest and assimilate all the other foods.
So we also have snacks, but we don't just go, oh, it's time for a Snickers bar. No, the snacks have the same things in it that the meals do. So remember, a good carbohydrate, a good protein, a good fat, and a good vegetable. And I'm going to show you a plate of typical snacks that we eat. All right. So I have cottage cheese here, almonds, dates, boiled egg, avocado, apples with cheese. We never just eat the apple, or we don't just eat the cheese. Orange, bell pepper, usually carrots. Here's some other kinds of nuts. And this is yogurt. Now this is not Yoplait. This is not sugar filled. This is plain whole milk yogurt. And we will usually take berries without any sugar added and mix it with almonds or nuts and eat that together. So that's what a good snack is for us.
Now, we're filming this in March, so seasonally there's not a lot of green leafies for us to be including in here. But as our garden gets going, you're going to see green leafy vegetables and anything that's seasonal coming out of our garden, vegetable-wise, that we can eat. Because this does have some vegetable, but we need more than that.
Correct.
Earlier we mentioned that eating in the morning, eating your breakfast, you're breaking your fast. You have to be serious about that being a fast. What you should do is 3 to 4 hours before going to bed, stop eating. No more snacking, no more food. Drinking some water is okay, although sometimes maybe you don't want to do that because you might have to get up in the middle of the night to relieve yourself. So 3 to 4 hours before bedtime, stop eating, no more snacking. That way, come breakfast time, you're hungry, you're ready to break your fast. You want to eat, your body is ready to eat. One of the things that happens, even while you're sleeping, your resting metabolic rate is going on, your body functions are happening, and they're burning energy, so it's getting hungry in the process.
But if you eat just before you go to bed, you will not burn that off. It will go straight to fat.
Yep. Yeah, you don't have enough going on, and so it goes to fat, but it also quells your hunger, so come breakfast time you're not hungry, so you don't eat a good breakfast. And then you have hunger during the day, and that hunger tells you, well, I've got to have some carbohydrates. Okay, problem precipitates.
So I'm going to give you some food guidelines. One of the reasons we want to eat vegetables is because we need the fiber. It slows down the metabolism of our carbohydrates. It improves our colon. It has so many good functions. So we want you to eat a lot of vegetables. So here's what we do. We'll take a day where we will do a pot of quinoa, a pot of brown rice, a pot of legumes, lentils, beans, and then we put them in small containers, and then we have them to draw on. Really good fiber so that we are eating the correct things. We also do not want to eat a carbohydrate by itself because that increases our insulin and our blood sugars. We do not want to eat a protein by itself because that increases our cortisol, which increases our insulin, which increases our visceral fat, which we're trying to get rid of. We also don't want to eat fat by itself.
Today, let's start getting the sugared drinks out of your your home, out of your life. The juices, definitely the sodas, the sugared waters, the vitamin waters. What else are they called?
Well, especially not those energy drinks.
The energy drinks that are a lot of sugar. Coconut water is okay as long as it is coconut water, not a lot of other things added into it. The main drink that you want is water.
Water, 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 water. 8 glasses a day, water.
Now, as a food, not as a beverage, milk is fantastic. Small quantities, whole milk. You don't want something that's watered down and everything good stripped out of it. But small quantities. You don't want to drink lots. This is not a beverage.
No, we drink it like a juice glass full of milk. When you're making your recipes that you normally make, I want you to start reducing the sugar. So let's say that the recipe calls for a cup of sugar. Cut it down to 2/3 cup. We cut ours down to 1/3 cup. And you're welcome to do that. But we started gradually and went down. We can't stand it even to have 2/3 of a cup. But when you cut it down, you're going to start tasting things in your cookie or your dessert that you never tasted before because it was overridden by the sugar. You don't need that much sugar. So have your fruits be your dessert after your meals. Once a week, have a dessert that's made, homemade, but with reduced sugar.
And you might even consider that once a week, making it even every other week. Wean yourself down. Don't try to do it all at once, but wean yourself all down. Now, in the case of artificial sweeteners, not a good substitute for sugars. First of all, you don't want the sugars. Artificial sweeteners are worse.
They're chemicals.
In different ways.
Yeah.
You've heard portion control. It's true. Eat smaller portions. What you're going to find, though, is when you're eating this balance that we're talking about, you're not going to want the large portions. You're going to find yourself full. You're not going to be starving because you haven't eaten for hours. You will have had a snack in between your other meals. So you're not going to be as hungry, so you can get by on smaller portions, but do smaller portions. If you eat out and you're ordering something and it comes on a huge plate, yeah, you can take a doggy bag home. What we find, which is a lot more economical than doing that, is we share some of the plates. And what we find is even when we divide in half some of these places from the restaurants, we still take food home because it's too much then.
Yeah, we eat too much food. People just eat too much food.
And I don't know that we've been in any type of a restaurant where they weren't tuned into this. A lot of people do it.
Yeah.
And so they'll
divide them right up on, give you 2 plates full. One of the biggest contributors to visceral fat is stress. And stress causes a hormone called cortisol to increase. Now, cortisol is an important hormone, like every hormone is important, but it goes into overdrive when we have stress in our lives. Stress is not something we get rid of really easy. So when we do have stress and the cortisol makes more insulin come in, and then we have more visceral fat, and we have more insulin resistance, and we have more metabolic syndrome.
Because we can't always control stress, it seems to be part of life. What we suggest is taking care of that elevated cortisol problem by exercising. It's a great way to do it.
Not even just suggest it. It's the only way.
It is. That's true.
To
it
get
is
rid
the
of
only way.
To make your stress be under control and get rid of that visceral fat.
Absolutely. Not only does it take care of the cortisol, but it can help just reduce the feelings of stress by getting out to exercise. A lot of benefits from it, in addition to reducing the cortisol, is it's going to strengthen you, give you more energy as a result.
Endorphins.
Going to give you endorphins. Exercising is also going to burn off that fat that's there with your muscles, and it's going to increase your insulin sensitivity.
So what we've done today is give you the guidelines of the way that you should eat. Many times when we read a book or we see something, they give you all of the things building up to the physiological and the psychological, and then they finally give you the program. We have given you what you need to do to start living correctly. Get rid of your processed food. We didn't mention that today. We've mentioned it before. But this is the way that you eat. So join us on this journey.